How is your NADA? That is your narcissist radar. We're going to be discussing that today with my sister Ariane, who's joining me, and just figuring out how to actually spot a narcissist and what are the real red flags that we should be looking for in our dating journey. Okay, so I've been doing a course on the King of Boundaries, Dr. Henry Cloud, and he asked all these questions which I thought were really good. So Ariane, I'm going to pose them to you.
Go for it.
So what do you think about these questions in terms of figuring out if you might be with a narcissist? Because we know that there are quite a few out there, unfortunately. So does the relationship over time tend to only be about them? How do you feel about that?
I think that actually comes up almost instantly in a relationship. I think the non-narcissist, doesn't want to see it, but I think there's signs straight away. Like when I look back on people I've dated, it's that whole you go love blind, right? So you don't realise that they're kind of working their ways on you and getting what they want out of you and not really caring about what's best for you or what you want. So I think just be open to seeing it early on because the signs are always there.
Something that you've always said to me that I've loved is you're always like, if someone tells you who they are, believe it.
Believe them, yeah.
So like people they are open about these things. And if you have someone who's just constantly going on about how wonderful they are, I think it is a little bit of a red flag because we are called to humility and to self-knowledge and none of us are perfect. Obviously, we're all fallen human beings. So I think if someone's like that, and there was a good example in like job interviews where, you always get the question like, what's your weakness? Yes. Like, tell me one of your weaknesses. And something apparently that the narcissist does, which obviously we've all been trained to say something that doesn't make us look too
like
bad.
Perfectionism.
Yeah, exactly. Because we still want to be hired. But apparently someone who like manages to give an answer which makes other people sound bad. So something like, sometimes I'm just too efficient and I'm too fast and I just get way too ahead of other people.
As in everyone else is too slow, too dumb to deal with me.
It's like blaming the other person and kind of bringing the other person into it. So I think that's an interesting thing. And then another one. So are you seeing them show empathy and vulnerability?
So this is interesting. I think something we have to look out for is fake empathy and fake vulnerability.
Well, explain.
Yes. So girls do this too when they're trying to make the other person, like within friendships. So for example, if like I've just met you and I'm sharing what you think are like these deep, dark secrets of mine. So you feel extra close to me because I'm sharing these things with you that you assume I'm not sharing with anyone else. But in fact, what I'm doing is making this kind of fake closeness, this like fake friendship almost. So I think people do that in relationships as well, when they'll like give you snippets of the truth. So you feel like they're being really open with you and, you're finding out everything about them, but what they've done is carefully curate what they're telling you. So you think you're getting the full picture, but you're not.
So they're like forging bonds with you on information that they know is going to catapult you into feeling like that kind of love or like that immediate, oh my gosh, they're really opening themselves up to me and being really vulnerable, but it's a fake vulnerability.
Exactly. It's a very, like I say, curated, conscious, thought out vulnerability where they'll tell you maybe what you think is the worst part of themselves. But really, it's a part of themselves. It's not that bad, but you think you then know all the worst parts of themselves, if that makes sense.
So it's like fake putting all your cards on the table. It's like strategically putting a few cards on the table.
Yes.
So that you think that you've seen everything and that I'm a complete open book. But actually, there's stuff lurking in the corner.
Exactly. And it's like they say the best lie is like 90% truth or something. I think that's the saying. So that's what I would watch out for again.
And obviously, as believers, we know that that's what the devil does. The devil distorts truths, and he will tell you these 95% truths to capture you and to get you in, not showing you the whole picture.
Absolutely.
So another question to ask yourself when you're with this person is, how do they treat the little person, aka the person that they can't get anything from? So the waiter, the, shop assistant, anyone like this.
Yeah, this is key. And this is something that I do actually think people do really well to begin with, when you're on your best behavior, first date, second date, third date. And then I think as you get more into, relationship status, as opposed to just dating, you might see them when they're tired. You might see them when they're angry with someone else in their life. And that's when you get to see how they treat, the waitresses or the waiters, and even other people in their lives. So I do think that's a great thing to look out for. You definitely want someone who treats people with respect and dignity, no matter what.
Like at all times, even if they're tired, if they're busy, if they're just like, oh, I can't deal with this right now.
Exactly.
And can they admit their weaknesses?
Yes, this is a good one. Again, I'll go back to the whole fake weaknesses thing that I was talking about earlier with the fake vulnerability. But I think something that shows this really well is their ability to say sorry. You know, we all have weaknesses, we all have triggers, we all have wounds. So when they come up and you react badly because of them, I think the ability to one, notice them in yourself and then be able to say sorry, that's like huge. I know there's a lot of people out there who just they don't go around saying sorry for things they do. And again, I wouldn't recommend getting into a relationship with someone like that. Yeah, no.
Well, yeah, it's all about that authenticity. So you really do want someone who's able to say, like, I really blew that. Like, I really messed that up. I'm sorry. But you have to check, like, in their apologies or their excuses, is it that everyone else is bad? Like, is everyone else around them actually the reason why they weren't able to complete this task or to, you know, keep this promise to you? Because if the bad is completely outside of them, then they are not actually taking accountability or responsibility. Are they aware of their own imperfections?
Yeah, you always want someone who is like a fine balance of like knowing their weaknesses, but also are confident enough to acknowledge their weaknesses, if that makes sense. I feel truly confident people can easily admit their imperfections. And yeah, but are also working on them. That is key. You don't want someone who's just like, oh, I'm lazy and stupid and not well read, and then they do absolutely nothing to fix it. So it's like knowing them is great, but if they're not doing anything to fix them, then get out.
Yeah, you want someone who can identify them and address them.
100%, yeah.
Because, yeah, so narcissists, the reason why I'm doing this episode is because they are incredibly attractive. So the way that they are described, they're charming, they're normally talented, and they're normally very gifted, and they have certain assets or certain things about them. So it is very easy to be lured into a relationship with a narcissist, and I definitely have been.
Yes, 100%, me too.
So something that Dr. Henry Cloud talks about is called the swine test, which I love. So that's swine, not slime. I thought it was slime. So he goes to the biblical verse about don't put your pearls in front of swine. And he's like, are you dealing with a pig or a human? Don't cast your pearls before swines. Don't give the treasure to someone who's going to trample all over you and spit you out. So here is the narcissist test. Just say no. So what happens when you say no to a narcissist?
Doesn't go well, does it? I think we've all experienced it, whether it's in our personal lives, work lives, or even just out and about, customer service. They take it so personally. Like the no is an actual attack on them. You might as well be punching them in their face. Because they just can't handle it.
Yeah, the narcissist sees someone saying no to them as this terrible thing that's been done to them. It's like, and they'll flip it back to you. So like, you're the problem. You just don't see their specialness and you don't value them. You don't see how good they are. You're not giving them enough. They will do everything to blame their failure on someone else. Second test you can do to check your NADA, narcissist radar, is you have to make a request that's actually going to cost them something. So you want to see, can they adapt to someone else's needs? Can they put their own needs aside for you? And can they receive no to their own wishes?
That's a good one. I think when looking out for a narcissist, you kind of have to imagine they're like a toddler, because toddlers don't deal well being told no. They don't deal well with being asked to share their toys, So again, like regarding like, can you help me even though we're not going to be able to do what you want to do? A toddler is just going to go crazy. And the same with a narcissist, obviously in a bit, hopefully a bit more adult way. But it's definitely a good test to do early on, guys. Do it early on in your dating relationship.
Please check that you're not dating the toddler version of an adult, because no one wants that. Because toddlers scream, they scratch, they bite. It's not cool. I mean, it's very cute when they're little ones, but does this person have empathy, or do they get defensive and just blame others?
This is a good one. And it's definitely one I think I struggle with. And before anyone calls me a narcissist, we all have narcissistic traits, okay? And so I think my first internal reaction when someone maybe calls me up on something for hurting them or something is that defensiveness. Like, well, if you hadn't done this, or, you know, if I hadn't crashed my car, whatever it is. So I understand this, and it's fine if that's your immediate reaction. But then you have to, you know, your adult brain does need to kick in, and then you would just take 100% responsibility. I think Delphine and I always say, what are we saying?
Take radical
responsibility. So for everything in your life, including how people are receiving you. So even if I genuinely don't think I'm in the wrong, obviously we'll have a discussion about it. I'm not going to say, you know, necessarily, I'm so sorry for something I don't feel like I did, but you have that discussion. And you're not defensive, and you're not upset that they're upset with you. That is what you're looking for in a relationship. Not someone who's gonna, you know, oh, you're crazy, you're being ridiculous, oh, it must be your time of the month. Like, again, all that stuff.
All the gaslighting.
Yeah, you don't want to live with.
No.
So just say no.
And I've definitely been in situations in relationships where I've voiced an upset or a concern, and somehow I've ended up apologizing. Because like just flagging this has gotten them really upset, and then they bring up all this stuff, and then I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry, and I just wish I didn't bring it up. And defensiveness is definitely like one of my biggest vices, because I'm just immediately very spiky, like what, blaming. But yeah, the solution really is to lean in and to try to understand and to apologize if that isn't necessary. But you know, isn't that leaning in rather than pulling back and just being like, whoa, you this. And, you know, does this person actually want to improve? Because if someone wants to improve, that means that they have identified things that they, you know, need to improve on. So that's also a good sign of self-awareness.
Yeah, self-development, I think, is key in all my relationships, not just dating, but friendships. I don't know, what do they say? Like, if you're not changing, or if you're not growing, you're dying. And I think it's just a really attractive quality. And then it's something that you can trust that person is going to keep growing and keep improving and keep, you know, finding these little faults and refining themselves. Because obviously, like Delphine said, no one's perfect. No one's ever going to be perfect. But if you meet this person and you can just see that they're constantly wanting to be better, you can't fault that.
Yeah, because we're always going to make mistakes. We're always going to slip up. We are always going to hurt one another. It's not going to be this perfect kind of, you know, la-di-da type of thing. But it's about how you react to that and how you respond. Yeah. And, you know, something that we heard on a podcast recently, I think it was Alex Hormozy, who said, you know, sometimes your friends might say to you something like, oh, you've really changed. And what they mean is that you've grown.
And they haven't.
Yeah, and you've kind of outgrown them just because they're not on that same self-development journey, which is a lifelong journey as well. And we are called to be lifelong learners. And that's something else that is really attractive about someone. I think it's very magnetic. I look for it in female friends and in potential male partners. But yeah, is this person looking to learn? Like, are they looking to actually open up their kind of knowledge and things? And then another thing is about looking at their friends. Mm-hmm. So Dr. Henry Cloud says, you know, do they just surround themselves with people who put them on a pedestal? What do you think about that?
Oh, yeah. I think this is a huge one. You don't want to be, and you don't want to be in a relationship with someone who just surrounds themselves with yes men. I think that's so dangerous. You know, just speaking from experience, my best friends, they call me out on my stuff. There was one time, I'll never forget, I had just had a fight with our mum, and I went to my friend's house, and I was telling him all about it, and I was expecting him to, you know, give me a hug, like tell me how badly I've been treated, and he just looks me in the eye and went, you do realise you're being an absolute B-word. And since that day, I trust him with my life, because why would I not? Like, I know he's always going to tell me the honest truth. And that's something, again, you want in the person you're dating, someone who wants the 100% truth and will also give you the 100% truth. So yeah.
Yeah, because
it's natural.
Narcissists love admiration and they love the spotlight. And I remember one experience where I was just being like, just unreasonably not nice to a man I was dating. And I remember he kept comforting me and saying, like, it's okay. Because I was like, I'm really sorry. I've actually been such a cow. Like, I've been awful. And he was like, no, it's okay. It's okay. And then I got angry because I was like, no, you need to challenge me on like when I'm not being okay, because that's what's going to call me higher. Mm-hmm. And I remember I have a friend, actually a mutual friend of ours, and anytime I go to have a problem, she just humbles the heck out of me. And she's always like, yeah, but you have to see it from this perspective. I'm like, I don't want to see it from that perspective. I want to see it from my perspective.
But you need to see it.
And I just want you to blow up. But yeah, exactly, that's what I need. And she always manages to calm me down and soothe me, and that's really priceless. So also you want to look for arrogance and pride as well. So how would you spot this in a partner?
I think it goes back to a lot of the other points. Like, are they able to say sorry because they realize what they've done? Are they overly preoccupied with how they look, or how, maybe not how they look, but how other people see them and perceive them, whether it's like their physical looks or like how well they're doing in their job, like if they have to like flash the cash as it was. So I would look out for those things for sure, because they just scream arrogance and pride.
And interestingly enough, there is such thing as a narcissist seeking behavior. So if you have identified that you probably have dated a narcissist in the past, or you have a kind of string of narcissists in your past, then there could be something within, and this is like that we've been talking about, like, is there something within us that has been attracting this? And Dr. Henry Cloud in Boundaries does say that, you know, single people sometimes seek narcissists to feel like they've made it, because obviously we have said that, like, they come across really charming, super attractive, like, and very like charismatic as well.
Charisma is actually a huge red flag to me. Because I've learned it's actually a coping mechanism that kids learn to deal with whatever's going on with their family life when they're young. So this isn't to say that you shouldn't be with people who've had hard lives, of course not. But it is to say, ask whether they've actually healed from whatever wounded them into the charisma. So I know that's like, it's going to hurt some people's feelings, but it's just true. Charisma is a huge red flag.
That's so interesting, because I saw Matthew Hussey's like this dating coach. He's quite well known, and he just put out a video last night which was talking about how like charisma is not something you necessarily need to be looking for, because those aren't the key signs or key traits of someone who's going to be a good teammate and a good partner. So I do want to lean into that more, because certainly for me, a part of this attractiveness that I have to others is I do like to see confidence. So what's the difference between confidence and charisma?
I think true confidence is very quiet, as in like it's someone who's got nothing to prove, you know? Like charisma, they are the life and soul of the party. They're very entertaining. Like, I know I'll go to an event. I will hope that there's, you know, a few of those characters around for my entertainment purposes. Do I want to marry them? Probably not. As you said, they don't have good teammates. They're too busy entertaining everyone around them and making sure everyone thinks they're brilliant to be able to care for, you know, even themselves and definitely not your needs. So yeah, I think confidence, you actually only find out about true confidence when you get to know a person. You can be at a party and be like, oh, you're charismatic, but you wouldn't actually be able to tell who's truly confident. You do need to get to know them a bit better.
That's really fascinating, because I do think that I can definitely be taken by charisma. I'm just like, oh, it's just so nice, especially in this day and age where we are quite socially awkward. Like, we've all grown up in the digital age and we're all in our phones and stuff like that. So sometimes, you know, just meeting someone who can give me eye contact is wonderful.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's interesting about the charisma point.
But that's also so great for guys. Like, just know that the bar is so low that actually all you have to do is say hello to a girl. And assuming they're not a raging feminist who's like, stop trying to abuse me. But your average normal girl will actually quite like it. And your competition is like slim to none.
It's true. I've actually been really blessed the past few days. I've just had random, quite like nice young men talk to me. So like one of them, I was walking my dog and he was like, oh, what's your dog called? And then we started chatting and like I got to know what he was up to, whereabouts he lives in the area, blah, blah. And then another guy said to me, he was like, oh, bad weather for a walk, isn't it? And actually it wasn't even that bad weather, but he obviously was trying to make an opening. And then I found out that his dad was a physicist and he's got these music aspirations. Like these tiny little ins can just open up and you can have actual human interactions and human conversations, which are lovely. And I wouldn't say that either of those guys were charismatic. They just had this kind of quiet confidence. Yeah, that is really interesting because the young people call it Riz now, don't they?
They do.
Hashtag Riz. And I guess charisma and narcissism probably do go hand in hand in a way, because it's about spotlight, looking attractive, wanting to be the best person at the party, the one that like everyone's going to remember and everything like that. And I mean, but there surely are some people who are naturally charismatic.
So that's funny. I don't think there's anyone who is naturally charismatic. So I think it's either a red flag, as in it's a response to a wound, or, but this is very few people, they've actually learned to be charismatic. And that is not a charisma you have to stay away from. But you know, the ones that, you know, want to be better talking to girls, want to be better talking in work meetings, because charisma is a skill. You can learn it, but very few people take the time to do it.
So it's authentic charisma that you're looking for. Oh, no, you're looking for charisma that's actually learned.
Consciously
learned
charisma
as self-improvement, self-development, not for self-protection.
Exactly, that's like the perfect way to put it.
Or self-elevation.
Yeah. So I guess it might be hard to tell the difference between the two, but again, this comes back to you take the time to get to know someone before you get attached to them, and then you'll be able to tell for sure.
Awesome. So Ariane,
yes.
In closing thoughts, what would you like to impart onto the audience just to encourage men and women in terms of trying to not feed the narcissistic tendencies that we all do have. So this isn't us being like us and them.
Yeah.
And also, cultivating being a better person above that, and also being able to spot if someone is really in their narcissistic traits, because that's just going to make for a really difficult life and a difficult relationship when you're with someone who feels so entitled, because entitled people don't show gratitude and they don't show compromise or that kind of teamwork that you really do need in a relationship.
Mm-hmm. What would my parting words be? I would say don't listen to your feelings. I think feelings can lie to you and often do. I think our feelings don't often have our best interests at heart. I think our feelings are often led by us wanting to get our wounds healed, or, have some unmet needs met. So when you're meeting people, just almost do the opposite of what you feel like doing, okay? So if you see a girl and you want to talk to her but you feel like you can't, just ignore the feelings and go for it. And the same way that if you feel super attracted to someone or by someone, just take a second and ask yourself why you feel that way. Again, is it because they're super charismatic and you kind of want to become the life of the party, which, by the way, you can learn to do? Or is it because, they remind you of your ex-boyfriend, or, these are things you don't want to repeat patterns. So our feelings are very repetitive. Very, very repetitive unless you consciously put a stop to them. So maybe I would say spend a week doing the opposite of what you feel like doing and see what happens, maybe.
That's quite a fun challenge. And definitely attraction is something that I do want to lean more into as well, because I think it's an interesting one to learn about. Like, should it be instant? Should it be grown? Is it like an ember that turns into a flame, or what? So we will discuss that at another time. But thank you so much for listening, and I hope that this has helped to up your NARDAR. I need to stop saying that, but your narcissist radar. Date healthily, date well, and know your worth, and make sure that you have your boundaries, because obviously, we were all created by God and we all have inherent value. So don't forget that. All right, God bless.
Bye.
Bye.